Hello, everybody. This is Joe the Lawyer. Welcome to another edition of Analog Man Cave. It's been a while. It's been a minute, as the young folks say today. I've been doing a lot of live streams and playing a lot of games and DMing a lot of games. And honestly, the live streams have taken over the YouTube channel with Tim Shorts. But I figured, listen, I'm off this week. I'm going to do some videos. I'm going to get the momentum going again, and more importantly, I'm going to raise money for charity. Because Eric Tenka, my friend, and I have a bet. Whoever gets the 5,000 subs first, we $100 to their favorite charity, and you got to buy him a steak dinner somewhere. So we got that friendly bet going. Matt Jackson and I had that bet, but the bum wouldn't pay me. Butthead. Anyway, long way to say like and subscribe. Try to get more subscribers if you like the content, guys. But let's dive into it. So, ego swords, right? I never liked them in the past. I remember them in the DMG, ADD, DMG, and there was a whole lot of math involved. And I was never a math guy, how do you add up what's the total ego, and then compare it against the character's ego, and it just seemed to me to be a big complete pain in the ass to deal with, especially if the alignments were different. Because I always put myself in the player's shoes of, oh, this is a pain in the ass. It's either a cool sword, or if there's an ego conflict, it might take you over, or drive you to do certain things, or whatever the case may be. So I thought, from the player's perspective, that just seems like a big pain in the ass. I don't want to fuck with them. I didn't want to mess around with that. But as I get older, I really appreciate fucking with my players a lot more. so what it comes down to is I was running them through Barrow Maze last night, and it's funny because they went in, Barrow Maze, the mounds above is laid out. It's sort of like the higher the number, the tougher the mound, right? Now there's like 70 mounds or something like that. The players went at like first or second level, approached the mounds and went to the big one where the Death Knight was. And my brother had this arrow of Destroy Undead, which I gave him way earlier for a different adventure that he forgot about. And then the Death Knight shows up, and it was like an AoE blow up thing. And so the Death Knight shows up, and he's like, it's either that or run. He pulled the arrow out of his ass, blew it up, exploded it, killed it. But then there was still a bunch of, other skeletons and everything else around that were going to chase him. So they just hauled ass and got out of Dodge. Now they go back there, 5th level or so, and they're like, yeah, let's go mop up what we left behind. Let's see what the hell he had on him. Now we, feeling big balls and whatnot, right? So they got some stuff. And one of the next mounds they went to was mound number 67. It's the Tomb of the Sacred Blade. All right. So you had to get through a puzzle, glyphs, and do it a certain order to get into there. And at first it was funny because they're like, fuck these glyphs. We're not going to, these glyphs are stupid. I hate these old school puzzles that make no sense and you can't figure them out and they're totally random. But then they tried one. And I got it right. Let me try the next one. And then, so I got sucked them in for like 45 minutes. How to approach the glyphs and how to beat the glyphs, right? The secret of the glyph was you get a message, and it said, it says to any lawful or cleric or paladin, whatever, to find me, you must solve the puzzle of the glyphs. You must do this by proving your worth. Open the door without touching the glyphs more than 30 times. If you fail, you're unworthy, and the magic of the glyphs will fade. So now they're in. Right, they're doing it. They figured it out. They opened the door, and inside was a sword. It was an intelligent ego sword. Now this thing is cool. All right, basically what the ego sword was, it was like an asshole paladin on steroids, but it wasn't a paladin's holy avenger or anything like that. But the ego sword pretty much had the personality of an asshole paladin on steroids. It was called Caliburn, right? And let me read your description. Now you're going to see where the fun comes in. All right. Caliburn has a special purpose to destroy undead. He speaks common and elvish telepathically. It's lawful because this is based in labyrinth board rules, right? It has extra damage to undead, blesses wielder, blah blah blah. Here's the fun part. Here's where it gets good. Caliburn's personality is a double-edged sword. No pun intended, I guess. He possesses the strongest of righteous ideals and a paladin's sense of self-importance. To Caliburn, the world exists in black and white. He will spur on his wielder and be encouraging. On the other hand, he cannot abide the presence of undead and may force his wielder into action if they refuse to engage them. He will never agree to flee, but having the right wielder is ultimately more important than his vanity. He is so conceited, he will refuse to communicate with anyone except the paladin or lawful cleric. And I got rid of that because otherwise there's no one countered. None of my guys are paladins or lawful clerics. So basically, he should be role played as smug and sanctimonious, the epitome of paladinhood. All the classic tropes of a paladin, right? So I'm like, oh, this is great. This lets me be douchey paladin type in their group just to fuck with them, right? Just to completely mess around with these guys. So they get this sword, and he starts talking instantly. Who is worthy to wield me? They're like, what? I've never thrown them an intelligent weapon. They were just completely thrown off. And so I'm dropping into like, I told them everything I'm saying is Old English, but it's kind of like, I guess the closest thing I could get is like Sean Connery. You ever seen the Saturday Night Live skits of Sean Connery where he's on Jeopardy? And he has that, I will take assholes, Trebek, something like that. So I was trying to give him that sort of like asshole-ish attitude, with the paladin's virtue and everything behind him. And so he was just condemning him at the outset. He's claiming how, I've been wielded by 13 paladins and 3 priests, and you're not worthy of me. And this and that. But they're like, fuck you, sword. Like, who the hell are you? What else? You're not leaving this goddamn swamp. And Sword's like, oh yeah, you're right, huh? Let's make a deal. we shall make a pact on it. But somebody picked it up before any pact was taken, and I had to do like a little private conversation with the guy. And the sword took him over. It was an ego battle, and he lost. The sword took him over. That was one of the funnest things ever. Was the guy who picked it up. I said, "What's your?" I had it like willpower, intelligence, whatever the hell it was, right? And then there was a random roll because their alignments were different. Okay, so I had to do a random roll. Now, this is what I like to do in random rolls. I like to have one player roll make a dice roll that affects another player's fortunes in some way without telling him, what's good or what's bad. So I had my brother roll for Dwayne, who's picking up the sword. It's a D10 bonus. The higher, the worse, right? So my brother comes up, he rolls a 10. He's like, yes. I said, yeah, for me. So the eagle sword took him over, and he had a whole, little private conversation. And, Dwayne's character starts walking off to go be given to a paladin. He demanded to be given to a worthy paladin, right? So anyway, they were tackling him, trying to, figure out how to stop the sword from going away. They negotiate with him. That's when he made a deal. Give me to a wielder who is worthy of me. So Pete's guy takes it, right? So Pete's guy, they made the deal. There was no ego battle, right? And then they're all set, and they go into a fight. The first fight into the next room that they went to was, I think it was room 57. This was fun because it was a room, of course, with undead because it's Barrowmaze, and that's how Barrowmaze rolls, right? But there was a couple different things. One was this was sort of a badass wraith. They called it a barrow wraith or something like that. He has a lot of strange things in here. A barrow ghast and a bunch of ghouls, right? And so he made up his own more powerful ghasts and ghouls and whatnot, right? So they go into the barrow ghast room. And the very first thing that happens is the wielder, Pete's guy wielding his sword. He's a human. He got hit by the ghast, and he just got paralyzed. And so now I'm taunting him because he's holding the sword in a death grip. He's paralyzed, and the sword is like, you suck. You are not worthy to wield me. Give me to somebody. And Pete's guy can't say shit. He just telepathically, he's just like, shut the hell up. He's like sitting there like, you're unworthy. And in the meantime, the fight's going bad because the barrow ghast, the only thing that can hit him is a +2 sword or higher. And this sword in Pete's character's hand is the only freaking sword that they had that could hit him. So like they had to pry it out of his hand. They had to battle their way into the room, pry it out of his hand because he's a tank, and then just beat the ghast down. So it was ridiculous. But I had so much fun just mocking them. And the other players were having a good time just watching me mock them too. I mean, you get an excuse to bust their players' balls in character as if you're an NPC there, but they kind of got to go along with it because you're a +3 sword as well. So, oh my God, it was great. So if you guys are going to introduce like an ego sword or something like that, it doesn't have to be a sword, it could be anything, If you want to introduce it, just have fun with it. I guess that's the bottom line. Don't look at it as a burden. Don't look at it as a big pain in the ass. Have fun. Give them an interesting personality. This is an archetypical, stereotypical personality of an asshole paladin, which is always fun to role play, of course, right? But they need them. They need them. So it was insane. But yeah, just have a good time with it. Give them an interesting personality. Throw some conflict, because without conflict, there's no fun. If everybody's along the same line, everybody's in the same group mindset. I mean, what good is that, right? Give them some conflict. Give them some level of how do you deal with the ego of the sword, and the sword might dominate you because it's kind of powerful, and it might enforce its will upon you at the same time. But also, you might get along. He might be a good ally sometimes. It's like an asshole hireling that you really kind of need. You know, it's like one of those sorts of things. So if you can have fun with that, just do it, because I avoided this, ego weapons for decades, literally decades. I had so much fun with it last night. The fact that one of the other players was saying, geez, I wish this was in the other campaign. I'm going to use it into my campaign. So I think I broke the seal on the ego weapons in my players, and they're going to start maybe doing it in their groups too, because they saw how much fun it was. Just have a good time with it, man. Life's too short. All right. Anyway, that's all I got for you. I just thought I'd share my story. Coming up next, though, is the story of how Pete, wielding the ego sword, died in the very next room. So stay tuned. I'll have that video up for you tomorrow. He bit the big one. It was hilarious. Well, you don't want to laugh at the PCs dying, but at the same time, it was kind of funny how shit went down, And anyway, I will talk to you soon, guys. I'll put up another video tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed this one. And please subscribe. Please like it, subscribe, and we'll get another one out for you. And hopefully we'll raise some money for charity here. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.